Welcome, listeners, new and regular, to the So Not PC podcast vlog with Rob Adamus. I am very grateful by the increasing number of listeners week over week. Show is an ever-evolving work in progress, as am I, where I'm hopefully providing content on topics you want to hear, but more importantly, think about once the show is done. Shows are not scripted. We're teleprompter free. Why? Because I'm a real guy with a voice for truth, which I believe most of you want to hear. And for those of you who don't, and I'm speaking to the leftards here, my hope in communicating would be to have you guys actually realize the only way all people can come together is by communicating in a non-threatening, non-violent, non-screaming way. And just because two people don't currently agree on a subject doesn't mean you can't come together in an agreement after informed, truthful discussion. Hey, what do you got to lose? Answer? Nothing. Can only gain out of it. So for those of you who've listened to the previous podcasts, there's a mantra that'll always be a part of this message, and that is, do your own research. Now, why do I say this? Even though the information we provide here is based upon deep research and inside sources to provide the most factual evidence possible, we want you to take that information and research on your own. Use your brains, seek out truth, and then create informed opinions based on that truth. We have way too many people who still believe in MSM propaganda. And again, for those who don't know what MSM means, that's mainstream media, okay? They're the main tool of the globalists. It's about creating robots out of listeners. And for those who haven't heard what the acronym is, well, I just stated that for you. Those are the CBCs, the global CTVs, the CNNs, MSNBCs. Yeah, you've heard them before. They don't want you to think for yourselves, and that's exactly the opposite of what this show believes. People who haven't been what's called zombified by the globalists. Now, God created everyone to be unique, have free will, and evolve based upon the talents you were born with. But the globalists don't want that for you. They want slaves. Hence, globalist agenda I spent the last couple of episodes talking about. More to come on that subject coming soon. But today I wanted to veer off a bit to another tool of globalists, Antifa, the terrorist group of mostly white, entitled, no jobs, socially inept, live in mama's basement losers. One of my main target globalists, yes, Mr. George Soros, real last name Schwartz, the Nazi collaborator who, with his family, helped kill his own people, the Jews, in the Second World War. Self-described God, follower of Satan, hater of Christians, conservatives, right-wing thinkers, and anything or anyone that isn't like him. In other words, my view, evil. Soros happens to be, well, the middleman of the Rothschild, Rockefeller, and other elitist families. Some names I think that you've probably heard before. Those families like to stay as anonymous as possible. And with their complete control of media around the world, you don't hear their names or stories about them all that often. So, Antifa stands for anti-fascist, which I have to laugh. It's a joke beyond jokes, as these pathetic excuses for humans show up with masks on their faces at Patriot Prayer and other non-violent events, attack people, oftentimes those in wheelchairs or praying, claiming everyone is a Nazi. Funny thing is, Antifa is the poster child group for who the Nazis, also known as the Brownshirts, for what a fascist, socialist, communist hater of all actually is. So my main point of outing this group is twofold. First of all, any law enforcement that's been standing down in North America, and there's been many instances of this, wherever this group shows up is as guilty as they are when a terrorist group, because that's officially what they are, is being allowed to cause chaos, anarchy, violence, and hate against others and people's property without arrest. The law is clear against terrorists. They are to be arrested immediately. Secondly, I'm going to name Antifa members and out them to the public, and I hope you guys start shitting your pants because we're coming to get you, okay? They believe they can wear these masks and hide their identities. Not today. Nope, got your number, and soon will every patriot in confronting your sorry asses. Oh, and here's another little tidbit. I'm going to be posting their faces because, hey, why not? Patriots don't wear masks. The KKK used to. And that's who you are, Antifa, the new version of the KKK. And just like the KKK, you will be eliminated shortly, regardless of how much money and McDonald's Happy Meals Mr. George Soros pays you off with. Okay? As much as the Happy Meal sounds like a joke that I made up, I can't take credit for it, considering it's 100% the truth. At last year's protest in Charlottesville, Virginia, Antifa members were chanting in unison, "George Soros, where's our money?" He also paid them in Happy Meals. Trucked 6 buses of crisis actor protesters, which he got from an ad posted on Craigslist, into Charlottesville to protest against conservative protesters to create a confrontation with violence. How do you like that one? One person, unfortunately, was killed that day when a left-wing protester drove his car at high speed into the crowd. It was later exposed that the police were told to stand down by the mayor of Charlottesville and the governor of Virginia, well-known Hillary Clinton and George Soros finance puppets. And the police removed the barrier intentionally to allow the vehicle to drive into the protesters. Oh, by the way, Chelsea Clinton, Hillary's daughter, is married to Soros' nephew, Mark Nowinski. Soros is pissed Hillary lost the 2016 U.S. election as he put $1 billion into her campaign and rigged the election via illegal voting to ensure her win. That didn't work out very well, did it, for her? The U.S. people hate Hillary so much she still lost. Love it. Unfortunately, evidence is now mounted that Soros is, who is Justin Trudeau's economic and immigration advisor. That's a friggin' joke as well. Rigged the 2015 Canadian federal election to get that degenerate and his libtard party into power. Now, I'll do an episode on this once I have all the details finalized. I'm going to put a giant wake-up call to the Canadian population. Listen up. Do not, I repeat, do not vote for the Liberal Party in the upcoming 2019 election. This virtue-signaling friend of pedophiles, child pornographers, Canadian-hating piece of filth Trudeau has done nothing but divide the country into his own little hate war, siding with ISIS terrorists to reintegrate them into Canada. Here comes the acronym WTF. Okay? There's no such thing as reintegrating these death cult ideologists. They kill. Okay? They kill those who don't believe as they do. In fact, here's a classic example of what just happened the other day. A millennial couple from the U.S. decided to bike through ISIS territory in the Middle East to prove that all humans are kind. Guess what happened to them? They were murdered. Okay? Didn't work out very well. All right. Now, as far as the ISIS reintegration, the real reason behind this in Canada with Trudeau is the establishment of terrorist sleeper cells. And if you people haven't been paying attention to the attacks, which have been happening a lot in Toronto at this time, then what the hell's wrong with you? You want to continue being laid-back Canadians until it's too late? Your country's being taken over. Wake the hell up. Left-wing media, meaning the CBC, Communist Broadcasting Corporation, CTV Global, Maclean's Magazine, and any liberal and George Soros-owned media outlet never provides truthful news reporting. Okay? Just lies. So, these are the kinds of things that are going on every single day. You don't hear a lot about or anything about. You need to be very aware of this. Okay. The only time you seem to hear anything on the news of a negative nature, if it happens to be a person who's white, Christian, conservative, libertarian, or as the left calls it, alt-right wing, which is a term that doesn't even exist, okay? Like Islamophobia. That doesn't exist either. So, one of the main reasons for me starting this podcast is a lot of what I just said to you, and a lot of other reasons as well. Okay? I want to inform you with truthful news, which in today's terms is called alternative news, and that's fine. Whatever. Well, alternative news is going to take down left-wing media. Okay? Regardless of only 6 families own all of these outlets, we're still going to take them down because people deserve the truth. Okay? We're a friend of the citizens of this world. And hopefully you'll take some solace in the fact that we care about you. All right? So, that said, I'm going to name off, well, I've already kind of done that, naming off the outlets, that do this day over day, 24/7. No point in really going over them again. But I want to point out somebody that I mentioned from CNN. Happens to be a distant cousin of mine, Mr. Anderson Cooper. Yeah, he's a CIA operative. So anybody who watches CNN News, he's not a journalist, okay? And not a word that comes out of his mouth is truthful. All right? Done. So anyway, I digress. Antifa is today's main target. But I felt it necessary to give you some background on those who fund these degenerates. But I'm also going to name some groups who I'm giving a big shout out to today, who are patriots and fighting against hate groups, which, like Antifa, is only one of 200 plus hate groups which George Soros and his elitist puppet masters fund to do all of their dirty work. I'll post those in the near future for you. So a big shout out to the Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer for showing class, educator resolve, and extending open communication in the recent gathering in Portland, Oregon the other day, with those who currently hate you for no other reason than their what we call deranged leftist syndrome. And also a thank you to the Portland police for their efforts in keeping the peace and then arresting Antifa members after they began attacking local businesses after all the peaceful protesters left. Yeah, quite a thing to take on a business that can't fight you back. Yeah, good one there. All right. So one of my favorite targets, CNN, is well known for applauding and protecting Antifa or Black Lives Matter, any hate group that attacks conservative thinking groups. So, as far as Antifa goes, what can I say about them? No, they're not anti-fascist. Again, they are the poster children fascists, the Brownshirts in their ideology and violent actions. They were formed in 2015, recently attacked Faith Goldie, a Canadian journalist, and her cameraman for simply filming and reporting at an illegal immigrant crossing known as Roxham Road. CTV left-wing news was there, along with police covering her attack, said and did nothing about it. Didn't show it on national TV. The usual. In other words, the public is now only seeing and hearing a little bit or nothing. You know, I get really frustrated with this kind of stuff. So, as much as I could go on a lot about this kind of stuff, this whole episode and every episode from today, the 3 that I did previously to the ones that I'm going to do week on, and probably on a much more often basis soon, as long as the viewership continues to grow as it is, I want you to know, I'm just going to give you all the information that I have available. And that's what we're going to do. And I need you guys to take action. You know, going back to the recent Portland protest, an interviewer from InfoWars, which is based out of Austin, Texas, was walking around both sides of the street to the Antifa folks, to Patriot Prayer and Proud Boys, and just wanted to engage in communication. Everything with the peaceful protest side was very eloquent, educated, non-threatening, wanted to engage in really peaceful, open communication, not only with the interviewer, but also with the other side that they didn't agree with, in this case Antifa. Excuse me. And this is what you see, and this is what you hear in these marches and these protests with these groups. And the lies about them from the media and Antifa stating that these are the Nazis and so on, it's complete bullshit. Okay? It's not anywhere near the truth. Antifa and other organizations like them are the ones that initiate violence. That's all they are there for. And to give you an example of what happened with individuals who actually engaged the interviewer from Antifa, these were their words. F you, F you, F you, F you, F you, by this one guy who I lost count after he hit FU 100 plus. That's all he said. So I looked at that and go, well, that's the norm. That's all they seem to be able to say, because there's no factual evidence in backing up their claims that they're fighting anti-fascism. Nothing. of the sort. These are the uneducated, socially inept, I don't want to really say video gamers, because not every video gamer is an Antifa, but a lot of these kids and adults come from this world where they're shooting up video games. And this is how they're taking it out. They hate the world. I don't know why. But next to him was this woman who actually pulled her mask down and said the following in her blatantly obvious high state of mental incapacity. She was definitely on something, because her eyes were as wide as, like, I don't know, a football. These were her words, which were a few more words than the FU guy. She repeated, "Can I lick your helmet? Can I lick your helmet? Can I lick your helmet?" Again, so many times I lost count. Does this sound normal to you? Well, this is definitely normal from a George Soros-funded terrorist group. These are the people who attract to that. Okay, so mainstream media does its usual in line that Antifa is just protesting against, quote, Nazi fascists. We just need to listen to truth here, okay? Again, I keep going back to this because repetition really is the mother of skill in all of this, and in this case, it's the mother of all truth. Antifa represents the Nazi fascists, brownshirts, hate-spewing anarchists, are the new KKK, wear masks that have a hammer and sickle on them. Okay? And for those of you who don't know the representation and the meaning of that, that's communism. Okay? It's on the Russian flag. Okay? Now these individuals show up to do one thing and one thing only: create hate and violence, division, anarchy, and, hey, fill in the blank with whatever negative term you want. It's applicable. To those who simply believe in good and in God, in the love of country, and in the prosperity for all, okay, you don't think like Antifa and similar groups. So folks, I could go on for honestly days about this kind of stuff. I don't want to bore you to death. I hope I've awakened a little bit of information in you to go forth and again do your own research. That's what's important here. Please seek it out. Think for yourselves. Okay? I'm just one conduit amongst many who's trying to get proper information out there to the masses that has been withheld or lied about for decades, long before any one of us has ever been born. Okay? So you get to do something today, and you get to think on it, and I pray it's because you have now either, one, been informed of something you didn't know before, or perhaps change your mind because you now have truthful information at hand and want to know more and will research it for yourself. Okay, there's that mantra again. It will continue on every episode. Or you can do this. You can sit back and do nothing in the streets of North America, and you can watch things happen to you and go, oh, what happened? Okay? We're in a war. A civil war, spiritual war, financial war, a war between good and evil. It's not a fictitious, Holly, weird, leftist slanted movie I'm talking about. I'm talking you, the people, the great people in North America versus the scum globalists and their minions who carry out their orders. I pray for those of you who are not yet awakened, please. Wake up. Get informed. Take action with other patriots. Communicate with each other civilly. And take back your countries from those who want to enslave you beyond what level you're already enslaved. Okay? I'm not some crazy individual. I'm being completely rational, logic, and I'm providing truth. So it's up to you from here. So, to end the show, thank you for listening in. Again, I'm Rob Adamus. Humbled you spent time with me today. I'll be back next week with another show. Pray for your well-being in all things, and God bless. Stay learned. Grow your spiritual connection. Have faith that good wins over evil. And do your part. It's important. Meaning take action as part of that plan. Good night.